Beats me today, they got that donut box and was sitting there loving it, get the smell, because I walked in. Gosh,
You probably knew they were there, that's why you hurried up and ran in.
No,
He saw Russ pulling into town. He always shows us for running.
I didn't even.
That's what I was thinking, I'm like, oh, this is different.
You got right.
They said it smells like sugar diabetes right there.
It was home last
Yeah, that's so
night.
weird. The kids started their freshman.
It's a little warmer.
Just those ones that
He's
stick
out
on
on the streets again. He needs to get his sister out there. Because, she made the, Zephyrs the here this summer. And the practice that they have. They said that every day you guys need to be running. They'll be practicing every day. When they get up.
We could put our entire agenda as a consensus.
Just do
that too. Study session.
All right, welcome everybody to our regular meeting with City Council for the City of Perry, May 15th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order right at 6:15. And roll call, please.
Goldar.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Here.
White.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Worthing.
Here. Thank you. I declare a quorum. So we'll start with our invocation. I've asked Ms. Gloria Brown.
Let us pray. Father, we just come before you tonight with thankful hearts, thankful for Perry, the city you've given us to live in and to serve. We thank you, Lord, that as we come before this agenda tonight, that you will give us wisdom and help us to make decisions that will help us to move forward and be conscientious of those that we're serving. We ask, Lord, that you will help us to use the influence you've given us to make decisions that will be best for everyone, and just help us as we go forward to make Perry even better than what it is today. We thank you for the beautiful city you've given us, Lord. It just makes me proud when I pull into this square and see our city and the accomplishments we've made. And We want it to be a place that it's a good place to live and a good place to raise our children. And we thank you that you've given us that responsibility to help make some of those decisions. So guide us and direct us. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Gloria. All right. Item number 1, the consent agenda. We're going to do this in one vote. We're going to receive and approve the minutes of regular city council meeting on May 1st, 2023. We received the street department report from April 2023 and the Perry Carnegie Library statistical report from April of 2023.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And a second. Roll call, please.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Williams,
Pay attention.
Brown,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
County Bond was the first one.
You're really throwing everybody out. On your toes for this meeting. All right. Seeing as there is no one here, we can skip on down to number 5. Proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Seeing none. Let's go to item 6, city manager report.
Thank you, sir. This weekend, the 8th annual Brendan McClarty Memorial Tournament will be held. We have already over 30 teams registered to play. This is always our biggest and our most successful tournament of the year, so there'll be a lot of folks Saturday and Sunday in Perry. Some staying over at hotels, definitely people eating and enjoying our town. Municipal pool will be beginning the fill process next Wednesday, the 24th, with grand opening will be Memorial Day, May 29th, from noon to 6 p.m. Today we were forwarded the list of awarded projects from ODOT that included 2 of the projects that we had applied for. Those were the 2 sidewalk projects. One is the sidewalk extension from Brahms from Brahms all the way out to BMAC. And the other one was the Safe Routes to Schools, which is 15th and Locust, up to 7th, and then up to Christ Lutheran Center. So the total project cost for both of them is $1.6 million, and our part is $279,000. So that's a good bang for the buck there. So obviously, these projects will certainly enhance the look of our community and the safety of all ages, whether they're walking on Fir or whether they're walking on Locust or even 7th Street. So, good times in Perry right now. Mayor?
Nice. Thank you. On to item number 7. We have CFO's report.
Well, I have a couple things for you. First thing is actually the extra handouts. This is homework pieces, A, B, and C, that you guys get every year. These are our preliminary draft 1 of the budget numbers. While the budget numbers in here you can adopt, I'm going to really ask that we not adopt these as they are currently presented. What we've included in this round of the budget document is everything you normally get. We did all the operational pieces, and then I've included all of the open positions that Larry put together and requested, along with all of the capital outlay items that are requested. The net result of that is about a $2.4 million decrease in our fund balance for the year. We can do that for this year and next year, and we'd be done. So we know that there's changes, we know that things have to be looked at, but without your all's priority, and without your all's direction on where you want to go, I don't want to make the cuts. Larry said he didn't want to make any of that. I won't speak for you, but you can step up and say he didn't want to make the priority choices on what we were going to reduce and how we were going to pull those out. There's always, now I'm making an assumption whenever I say that you guys want to reduce it. We can always increase revenues if that's the other side of it. If you'd rather do that instead of making the cuts, I'd be more than happy to run the calculations and get you to that piece. So you got 3 pages. The big thick document is the operating budget in total. As you can see, the summary, those of you that haven't been through this before, let me just kind of give you a quick piece of it. We've got all of the funds that we operate in coming down the left-hand side, and then running across, you've got the beginning fund balance, you've got our revenue. So beginning fund balance is effectively cash. is how much cash we're gonna bring over into the year. You've got the revenues, you've got the expenses, then you have our transfers in and out. That's the money we're moving between funds to keep everything in balance. And then you've got effectively the net change column. The net change is whenever I'm saying we're gonna have a decrease of $2.4 million. It's that decrease of $2.4 million in those first three funds, our general fund, utility fund, and airport fund. And then you get the ending balance. The ending balance is effectively, think of it as how much cash we have at the end of the day. So start with, in general fund, we'd start with $2.4 million, and we'd end the year with $333,000. And as you can see, we couldn't sustain that for very long. Matter of fact, not even another year. The rest of the pages are just the support and the detail that roll up into each of those funds on the front summary page. Page 2 is just kind of a quick summary that looks at it by department. Page 2 and 3 was supposed to get on one page and apparently didn't. But it just gets you by department, so you can kind of see within the fund, within the general fund, what do we spend on general government, street and alley, parks, all of those things. So this is more the operational document, okay? You guys, most of the time, historically, you guys haven't really made any cuts to this piece. Kind of where we've put the operational pieces and what we've done, you guys have kind of set with. Where you guys usually make your cuts and what you look at are the next two pages that come up. The single page is the position. These are open positions so reductions here are not terminating an employee. This is just positions that we don't currently have somebody filled in. Last year, I think there were 13 requested, and 14 requested, and by the time we finished, you guys only had 7 that you had left included in the budget. This year, there's 17 of these positions, and we'll just have to see what you guys want to do based on your priorities and where you have it. That's a list of that piece. Then the 2-page document that's following is about $7.4 million worth of capital projects. They're funded in various ways, and you kind of see the funding over here on the side. The only reason I'm telling you that is don't think whenever you get down here and you'll see the fire station on here at $5 million. Well, you can't cut that out. That doesn't count towards $5 million. What we've done on those pieces that are financed is I've divided them into 2 groups. Anything that's equipment or short-term pieces on finance, we've done over a 5-year period. Included that in the budget. It's about $160,000 of debt service each year for the next 5 years. The other thing that then on the bigger pieces, the buildings and those pieces, I included those over a 15-year period. It's about $550,000 a year in debt service for those pieces. Just looking back historically and kind of trying to give you all a frame of reference, we normally try to get our capital outlay down into the $350,000 to $400,000 range. That's traditionally what we've been able to afford out of our operations and our operating budget. If you guys want more than that, and that's where you think we need to go, we're going to have to look at other revenue sources to get there. And other revenue sources, really our only disposable revenue source that we have is our utility rates. So that will be in there. The budget draft that you do have includes the CPI increase for utility rates. So CPI for last month, in the month of March, was 5.2%. CPI actually went up in the month of April. We thought we were on a decline. I've kind of been talking how nice it was that we're starting to see this fall. CPI took a bounce back up. It's 5.5% for the month of April. So we are back up a little higher. Our utility ordinance says that the CPI will be based on the March numbers. So 5.2 is what we would build in as the automatic increase for utilities. It amounts to about $144,000 for the per percent that's coming in there. So there is some additional revenues that we budgeted. Last year, if you will remember, related to utility rates, we cut that down because it was 8.8%, and we weren't going to do the 8.8% increase for utilities. So we cut that back last year and went lower than CPI. Guys, we're continuing in that compounding piece that you've heard me talk about related to the CPI. Our 2-year CPI is at 4.8% right now. So over the last 2 years, think of it, the 2 years post-COVID, we're up 14.8%. Back in December, that was almost an 18% number, whenever we were talking. So as CPI has come down, that 2-year climb has come down, but we're still in significantly high double-digit increases. I don't know if you all remember, but in my talk, I told you that from 1996 to present, there were only 3 months that number ever topped 5%, and for a 2-year number, and it had topped actually 8% during those 3 months back in 2008. But since then, we haven't seen that kind of inflationary numbers, at least going back to 1996. So looking, effectively in the last 25 years, we haven't had this kind of inflationary pieces to have to deal with and address. So just want you guys to kind of lay the groundwork. You guys have this. We've talked about in the past doing maybe some budget sessions, some breakout pieces. I know you guys are going to meet on the 30th. Maybe after you guys get through that round of meetings, we can talk about how we want to go forward. We have a handful of deadlines that we have to meet related to the budget. So this meets our first deadline, which is you guys have been provided a draft of the budget. This next deadline that we hold is at least 15 days prior to the start of the fiscal year, we have to hold a public hearing. So we can either hold a public hearing on June, the first meeting in June, or we can do it on, we can do it on the second meeting because that falls on the 15th, doesn't it? So we'll be able to do it on the second meeting. We'll have to hold a public hearing by the 15th, and then we have to adopt it by the 23rd of June. So those are kind of our deadlines that we have coming up. Usually we've already kind of ironed everything out by hopefully that first meeting. I don't think we're going to get that done this year just based on your planning, the way you guys are doing your planning pieces. So we'll have to work in maybe a session or two between the 1st of June and that second meeting in June, just so we have enough pieces to kind of get everything covered. But that's the highlights related to the budget. Again, nothing unusual. We budgeted operations very consistent, for personnel services, materials and supplies, other charges and services. Consistent with prior years with a little inflationary increase for some of the expenses, but I think we should be good on that front. It's the other side that we need to kind of address and figure out what we're going to do. On to any questions related to that before I jump into financial?
What, on the open positions?
Yes.
What is I know more conversation, but what's the impact of the list as it is here?
The list as it is there is about 1.175 million. So $1,175,000 is the roll-up cost. That's the salaries and wages plus the benefits, all in. You're at about 1.175 million.
And the open positions, those were in the budget for this last year. Those just hadn't been filled. But these ones that are new positions that are being proposed for the next year.
Yes, 7 of those are carryover positions that did not get filled last year.
Right.
And then the others are new positions to be added this year.
Do you have that as a breakdown then?
No, I didn't break. I can get you that breakdown. I do not have
You
it.
mean breakdown into salary and benefits, or?
Open versus no?
Open versus
Okay.
new.
Right.
I'll get you a number. I don't have it.
Gotcha.
I ran it out in total whenever I looked at it. I just figured you guys may swap out a position for that position, or, you guys have been known to do those kind of things. Like, we'd rather look at maybe trying to hire somebody in this, because part of the reason in some of those open positions, is that as the year goes on, that position's been open. Nobody's interested in filling that position at the rate that we're paying and where we are. So, it may be one of those that either we need to change the pay rate, or we need to, maybe look to fill another position if that's the case.
I didn't think to look. Does this factor in the OMPA
Yes.
deal? Okay.
Yep.
So that's built in.
Embedded in the OMPA cost.
Okay.
Yep, you'll see the cost of goods. In that electricity line item. It's included.
But it's in the budget. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe you already answered this. So these positions that were open, they were open all year, they were never filled? Or are they just open right now?
They're open right now.
Okay. So they could have had somebody in them throughout the year. That's just a building right now.
Some of
Okay.
them are, but some of them aren't.
Okay, so there were some that were never filled at all.
Never got
Yeah.
filled.
Right.
The
Some of them are new.
assistant airport manager, we had that, she left. Paramedic, we promoted internally. The apprentice, the journeyman, we have not had that. Groundskeeper, we had that till probably September of last year. CC Lake Grant, caretaker's been in the personnel authorization for probably a couple of years. It's always nice, we used to have a caretaker out at CCC Lake, that's what they did. It certainly helped with having somebody out there. That person used to live in the Rock House. Since I've been here, no one's been there that was employed anyway. Building inspector, that's a current open position. Code enforcement, I believe that's really should be new. And then we've asked to retain the 15th officer, which I believe we have hired our 15th officer. So we're full there, and we're full in dispatch now.
Yes.
Okay. Road foreman is new. We feel like we need someone that has a little bit better skill set in just working on the roads and streets. Crew worker, that was not filled from last year. The E911 coordinator, I believe we decided that with today's E911 meeting that coordinator would not be needed, mainly because of what the county wants to do. We don't think that
May not be full-time.
being a full-time, the assistant sexton out at the at cemetery, I do think that right now we have a sexton, and I just would like to have someone that can train behind her, because knowing where, your grandfather's buried is pretty important, and that's a skill set that you just don't walk in and learn all of a sudden. Communication and marketing coordinator, we put that in the budget last year, and that was removed. Animal control officer is new. Would you like to talk about the animal control officer, what Aaron does currently? And this is the reason why I put that in there. This is something that I just felt that we needed to at least address, because Aaron is, from the time he walks in to the time he goes home, he's lucky if he gets lunch.
Yeah, I requested, back in the day, we used to run 2 full-time dog catchers. And when one quit, we decided, let's just keep it at 1. If you've got a digital scanner that can monitor us, I would encourage you just to listen to an 8 to 4 shift of how many calls our ACO responds to daily. When he goes to work, he can't even go to work and go get a cup of coffee. As soon as he's 50 Central, 10-8, we need you to go, there's already calls holding. And so I don't want to get him burnt out. I mean, that job, it takes a special person to do that job. I mean, dogs biting at you, and you got to go out and feed, water, clean the kennels every day. He's responsible for mowing out there. It's just nonstop. So I addressed Larry. I just would really like to consider getting another full-time ACO, because police calls, we may get 10 a day. He's getting 30. I mean, it's incredible how much calls, how many dogs run loose in this town. Abandoned dogs, I mean, it's nonstop. And if you ever want to go on a ride along, he'd sure take you around all day and let you see what he does. So, but no, that was my request. It's just, that job there is nonstop. And like I said, get a scanner and listen to the call volume. It's incredible what he does daily at that job. So,
Thank you. And then the last two, we feel that those should be additions. We have 5 folks that work in streets right now, and should we be able to get a road foreman, we're gonna need more folks to help with that.
With the water, that last one, is that just a duplicate of the one that's open?
Now, the one that's open was from last year.
Right.
The new one is one more.
So we want to fill 2 more positions in that?
Correct. And they've been really stretched with, especially with all the water projects they've got. We're still having old lines that need to be replaced, repaired. Leaks happen, especially when it gets hot. when we see the temperature extremes, whether it gets hot or it's cold, we have guys that work a lot. I believe that at one time, because this is way before me, but I believe that Vernon said they had 17 people in the water department. So now we've got 5, 6 to do that kind of work. I just don't want our guys to get burnt out, so they leave. We already have issues filling the positions that we have open. Now it just compounds everything as we go along. I like to be proactive on that. And I hope the justification helps as well.
Any other questions on that? Or for Russ?
Thank you, I didn't mean to take your time.
He was already way over his 5
I
minutes.
want extra time added back to my allotment for
It was
Larry talking during my
It was your
presentation.
show, but now we go to this, this attorney over there.
Well, let's not share our time with him for sure.
So that was the draft. You want to go over the financials for?
Yes, I'll run just real quickly, just a couple of highlights related to, to the financials. Big piece, and I'm trying to hit the things that you're not gonna necessarily see in the numbers, but things that you need to know, just from an overall report. You know, we're always worried about the PCA and that net adjustment, you know, that we're making to the utility bills. Again, that number's gonna be back down under 0.1%, for the month, so we're setting in good shape related to that. Wholesale cost of electricity has come down, more normalized with what we expect it to be. We are about to get into the warmer months. Matter of fact, this last weekend, you know, I'm sure you guys were out and about and felt the heat. We're getting a little bit of that heat earlier than we've had it in the past, you know, just from a seasonality thing. So we will actually see some uptick in electric bills and electric usage that come out of the April-May reading block that we do. They'll be billed at the end of May, so that people might start screaming a little earlier saying, whoa, hold on, my bill's already going up.
Mine was on.
My
AC was on.
You had it on, see, thank you for using our electricity, we appreciate it. Turn it down just a little more and we'll ship you a little more electricity for that. Citizens of Perry appreciate it. So we do have that, but the change is more gonna be related to usage than it is to rate structure, because we always have to look at those two things. Number 2, I addressed CPI, kind of hit that earlier already. Sales tax. Sales tax, guys, we're continuing on that great sales tax number. About 28% increase for the year in sales tax, 56% increase in use tax. In real dollars, what does that mean though? Because I can give you percentages and everything else. To the general fund, we've added about $100,000 additional revenues. For the general fund, use tax gave us another 50, so about $150,000 more that we've received in. We have been allocating those dollars as part of our expenses, you know, over the last couple of months. So, you know, it's not like we have any extra, but those big extra capital projects, i.e., well, we'll talk about it here in just a minute, the hospital and getting an architect paid for and those kind of pieces have come out of that extra sales tax. So at least we had it, and at least those dollars are up for us. So that's good news. The rest of the pieces, you know, we're online and we're where kind of expect to be for the month. Hotel motel tax collection back up to $15,000, so we're still about $3,000 short on where I'd like it to be, but it's a whole lot better than those months we were getting 8 and 10 and 11. And I was telling you, we're half of what we need to collect in this, so that's good. It will increase over these summer months, just with the travelers, with the ballpark, and the activity and those kind of things. So we're into the good months as far as that goes. I don't have anything else. Do you guys have any direct questions? Something I can answer, help you with? So if you have questions, or we'll get together and I'll try to explain a little better some of the stuff that I want you to see and understand likewise, Mayor, as we talked, we'll discuss a little more of this stuff.
Yeah, I
as it
think it'd
goes
be
on.
good to have
So,
at least a workshop or something for us to get us
yes,
caught up.
get you up to speed and just learning and understanding the global picture of what we're trying to communicate. But all in all, I think we're in good shape.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, let's move on to item number 8. So discuss amending the Perry Municipal Code 2022, Chapter 17, Section 17-202, adopting subsection H titled Utility Taps and Connections, Fees, Utility Deposit, exception to posting deposits for victims of domestic violence, and declaring an emergency. So with this, Bryce, do you have some?
Just Governor Stitt finally signed a bill, and this one requires an ordinance on our part, and that is if there's a victim of domestic violence and they leave the home and they want to set up another account, we can't charge them a deposit so long as they follow the terms of the ordinance. And it's really in an effort to, take care of victims of domestic violence when they leave homes and have to set up a new utility service. That is already law. It's already been signed into law with an emergency. So it's important that we adopt this. This is presented with a form. We're ready to implement it immediately upon the passage of this ordinance.
You guys just bringing it up to state law. right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment to the Perry Municipal Code regarding utility taps and connections for victims of domestic violence.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Colgar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes.
Need declared emergency?
Colgar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
And Worthing.
Yes. Okay, item number 9. Consider a proposal for medical equipment planning and integration services from Partners Healthcare Group for Stillwater Medical Center, Perry, Rural Emergency Hospital remodel and appropriating $73,700. So this is what we had tabled prior because the amount was posted incorrectly on the
Right.
agenda.
That's correct. As you see, there's a email recommending that we engage this firm from Stephen Taylor with Stillwater Medical. Something's necessary, and it'd be nice to get this out of the way and let these guys do their work, especially be part of the planning process as well.
So I just have to ask this question, just so it's out there. So this is normal whenever someone does a remodel in the hospital, that they hire someone to tell them what equipment they need, correct? Because that's what this is, they're gonna tell us what equipment we need.
What equipment you need, where to put it, how much of that you need.
Okay. Normal practice.
Normal practice, yes.
Okay. I've just been asked a little bit,
Okay. Happy now?
so, yes.
Is this where Mr. Regent's gonna address the $73,000 in sales tax?
So, yes, you got it. We've talked about that carryover sales tax, and that's where we are funding right now all of the expenses related to the hospital until we get
And we
extra.
have that money to go.
Yes, we do have that money to do it.
So that's the hospitals, the 1%. Is that what you're talking about?
No, this is our sales tax.
Our sales
Right,
tax.
right now, the 1% hospital sales tax is still going to Stillwater Medical. till this month, and depending on what happens related to that. This is our excess general fund
Okay.
sales tax and carryover fund balances that we've amassed from prior years. This, right now, until we get, and matter of fact, Bryce and I just had a phone call before we came over, but until we get a final financial commitment and know what the final debt service numbers are gonna look like, you know, on projected project costs, we don't have any third-party money paying for this. The city is bearing the brunt of all of those costs at this point.
But that is being submitted to committee and hopefully will be approved this week. So, and that's with a major bank. And then we'll talk to you about that and how that's going to work and whether there's reserve funds or whether there'll be other dollars involved. But it's coming together. And we received a call right before the meeting where we provided some additional information. And I would say, Russ, wouldn't you, that he was satisfied with our answers? Yes.
Yeah, I think we got him what he needed to finish it up for committee.
It's a major bank,
Should
so
get it.
this is,
Should get it taken care of.
Do we have any other questions?
Well, we made the decision to go forward with the Perry Rural Emergency Hospital remodel, so I'm guessing that we have to go ahead and take care of this so that we can continue with that motion that we've already passed, correct?
yes, yes, we should approve this.
Yeah, this is for approving the company, the contractor recommended by Stillwater Medical.
And their agreement,
Right.
yeah.
Was there any discussion on to what impacting the architect's agreement would be, what the impact on that would be, what their cost is?
Stephen Taylor recommended that we use this group rather than the other group and suggested that if we use the architects, it would probably be more. And he did say that it's good to have two professionals looking at the same thing, looking at different parts of the same thing and providing input. This group has worked on a number of Stillwater projects, and he just recommends, wouldn't you say, Larry? Didn't you talk to him?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he recommends very highly that we hire them.
Motion to approve item 9 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Okay, let's continue on to item number 10. Discuss the qualification statement received pursuant to the City of Perry's request for qualifications for auditing services. Consider approval of agreement with Jana A. Walker, CPA, to prepare the FYA 2022-2023 audit for the city and its supporting components, the cost of which is not to exceed $20,500. Russ, you.
Guys, so CBEW notified us this year, as you guys remember, that they were going to discontinue doing audits of the smaller cities. They're doing some of the larger ones still. This is not, it's becoming more and more common, honestly, right now within the profession. We used to have 77 firms within the state of Oklahoma that were licensed to do governmental audits. That number is now dwindling down under 50, and fewer and fewer people are doing it. As a result, it's getting harder and harder to find somebody. I had 3 others that we had talked with that I thought were going to submit proposals. This is the only one that ended up coming in whenever the final bids were opened. Everybody else was like, we've got more on our plate this year than we can shake a stick at. We don't have staff. You know, it's that proverbial problem that you're hearing with everybody. Last year we paid $14,000 for the audit, or $14,500. So this is almost $6,000 increase in cost for the audit from one year to the next. It's just getting to that point that finding governmental auditors is almost impossible. As a matter of fact, you know, deadlines become issues. You know, the schools have to have theirs done. They have to have their estimate of needs in. So no governmental auditors are even really working on government audits until we get to the end of September. You know, and then they're due by December 31st. So everybody's trying to pack this stuff into these small windows, and they're going, we don't have enough people. We just flat out can't do it. So I have worked with Jenna. She works on quite a few, probably half a dozen of our audits. And she does a good job. Matter of fact, I've worked with her on some special projects over the years, and I think she does as good a job as anybody out there. So I would recommend that we take her RFQ.
She was the only one?
She was the only one.
And she didn't do it last year, right?
She did not do it last year. No, CBEW did it last year.
And will she be doing it next year, or is that something you revisit every year?
Most of the time, usually we try to send it out on 5 or 7 year increments. You know, from the audit standpoint, there's a lot of first year startup pieces that you have to do whenever you take on a new client. You know, and the transition time and those kind of things. To try to change auditors every year is kind of cost prohibitive. And honestly, if we can get locked into a number, I don't like the $20,000 number. Don't get me wrong. I was happy with the 15,000-ish, but there is nobody out there.
So the previous year, who was locked, how long were they locked in for?
We had CBEW for, I want to say about 8 years. Yeah, we had them for a long time.
But they had to agree each year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daryl White actually had did it before that. And matter of fact, whenever Daryl White did it in his firm FSWB, Janet had actually worked for Daryl at that point. So Janet does have a little bit of familiarity with the city of Perry, which is kind of, mind you, it's removed by the period that CBEW did it, but it is a good piece for us. Maybe there won't be as much of a learning curve coming back. The learning curve really weighs on Christie and staff because they have to explain every cycle, and they have, you know, cycle being cash receipts, cash disbursements, fixed assets, you know, treasury, all of those things, and it's just those questionnaires. I mean, this isn't going to be a fun, you know, 60 days. You know, in once we approve this, we'll start getting questionnaires from Jana that have to be filled out, and documentation of cycles, and it's nobody enjoys it. Let me just leave it that way. Nobody enjoys it, but it's what we have to do to pick up a new auditor and do a new piece.
And every auditor takes a different route to how they accomplish the audit. So it's just one of those, like Russ says, so just a learning curve. You know, the nice thing about CBWE that was that we pretty much knew what they were going to ask for. They knew where to go for us, you know, who to get an answer for. So there's that familiarity there.
My question was just because you said it's hard to find them, so are we guaranteed to have somebody next year or whatever?
Oh, yes, most of the time, like, well, I can't speak 100% for Jenna, but as long as Jenna's practicing, her agreement is if I take them on, I will keep them as long as the relationship is there.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know? yeah, we won't necessarily have to go back out next year for another RFQ. We only do that whenever we lose our auditor, they fire us. We didn't get fired, they just dropped us. Or whenever you guys say, hey, we're not happy with the current services that we're getting, we'd like to have a different auditor, can we test the market? So that's really the only two times that we go out from that standpoint. Other than that, we prefer to work with the same person, year in and year out to the extent we can.
So which budget does this come out of, just general?
Comes out of the general fund, yes. Matter of fact, it's general government of the general fund.
And that's an annual thing that's required by the city to do that. It's not something we can, it's not anything we could put out in the budget. It's just for people listening.
Correct.
to know
This
that.
is, a state statute requires us to provide an annual audit to the Oklahoma State Auditor's Office by December 31st of each year. If we do not provide it by December 31st, which there have been years we haven't because of hospital and because of auditor timing and those kind of things, what happens is we get a 6-month grace period, and then starting June 30th of the following year, they start withholding our gas excise tax until we finally get it in. Very rarely do I have one that goes over the 6 month. Most of the time, if it goes over the 6 month, it's because we're waiting on another component audit that has to come in, i.e. like the hospitals. That's a very common piece. While we try to do a great job of getting our audits done timely, sometimes we run into the Medicare and Medicaid issues and cost reports, and there are so many things that the hospitals have to do that we don't have to do, that we end up having to wait on them to get the blending numbers. We call it blended numbers, but to get their numbers to put together with ours to then issue what is the consolidated audit. So that's usually the only hiccup we
I
have.
just think it's important for people that are listening to know when we spend $20,000 that it is a required thing that we have to do, and it is a budgeted amount. So with that said, I'll make a motion that we enter into an agreement with Jana Walker CPA to prepare the fiscal year audit for 2022-23, not to exceed $20,500.
Second.
Okay,
We can
motion.
do it for less if you want.
I'll tell her that.
All right, roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item number 11. Consider request for 2 payments by Wind Construction Company Incorporated for work performed on the improvements to the Perry Water System in the amount totaling $412,095.81. A payment number 4 in the amount of $218,701.38. And payment number 5 in the amount of $193,394.43.
Council, this is for the water line replacement project that you've seen down Fur, around Ditch Witch and up 15th, and then over 13th to Caw. It's going to be coming down to 7th Street here in a couple of months. It's
A couple of weeks.
Or a couple of weeks, they're thinking.
Yeah, they've already started.
They are moving fast, which is good, because their deadline is July 19th, if I remember correctly. So this work has been certified, accepted by our water consultant, Matthew Coe, with Myers Construction.
Motion to approve payments number 4 and 5.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Item number 12. Consider escrowing and holding current and future medical health sales tax proceeds in the sales tax account until otherwise directed.
I think at the last meeting, we approved the sales tax agreement, which provides that, that sales tax dollars can start being paid over to the Blackwell Facilities Authority and used for the debt.
To the where?
Excuse me, Perry Facilities Authority, and on the debt that we talked about incurring, or that we discussed with the officer today. The language of the agreement says that we can stop paying it at the later of April, when the REH license is issued, which it got issued on April 1st, 2023, or when they can start billing for REH payments, which we believe is April 1st, 2023. But so far, they haven't been able to bill those payments. But it doesn't say when you start receiving payments. It says when you're able to bill them. And it's supposed to be 1 month after that time. Well, I was okay with paying the March payment and okay with paying the April payment. But now it's time to pay the May payment. And that, I believe shortly they're going to learn that they can start billing on those REH payments. And I don't want you to send $50,000 somewhere that we can use ourselves, because as you see under the agenda, we have lots of uses for them. I've spoken to Stephen Taylor and I've told him that I'm putting this item on the agenda for us to consider, and he understands. I'm sure that they'd rather us send it to them, but he understands that we have to be responsible to the agreement and responsible to our public. So that is what I'm asking you to do. Escrow the payment, let's see, in the next 30 days or so, 60 days, whether they don't get the go-ahead to start billing, and we can retain and use that for these service contracts and on this debt that hopefully will be issued in the next few months. I am recommending that we do this so that we don't lose the money. Any questions?
So if Stillwater doesn't get the approval though, then we would go ahead and pay them?
Sure, yeah, I mean, and that's the reason we're escrowing it, because we're not going to use it for anything else. We're just going to escrow it in the account, we're just not going to pay it. We're not going to pay it. That doesn't mean that if ultimately, they make the determination that you're now authorized as of September 1st to start billing. I don't think that's the way it'll be. If they've issued the license, it should be commensurate with the issue of a license, but I think under the contract, we should be comfortable escrowing those dollars because the date should be April 1st, which would actually make it May 1st. It would mean that we would pay every payment except the one that's now theoretically due, but not due, because I believe that they can bill as of April 1st. It's just they haven't been given the go-ahead. And that's because of federal bureaucracy. Heck, it might be part of the federal budget. But in these types of situations, there's always a relate back. If the approval occurred then it would relate back to that, to the time when it was authorized. Right. And you won't be doing anything with the money. You will be escrowing it, so you'll have it available to pay if in the future it appears as though it may have been more proper to pay.
Motion to hold and escrow the funds until the use is deemed necessary.
Second.
You also should know that if you rely on my advice, you can't be held liable. There's a statute in Title 62 about that, so it's really on me. Not that I have the money to pay it, but you can't be held liable for taking my advice.
We'll sleep better tonight.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I know everyone's thinking about their bank account.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Okay. Item number 13, approval of agreement between the City of Perry and First Bank and Trust for promotional advertising at BMAC. Just
So
like,
moved.
Second.
okay. We have a motion and a second, right?
Almost.
Almost there.
Everybody was too fast on that.
Well, we saw it at approval recommended, so.
That's right. It's just like Exchange Banks last time.
And we'll receive the signed copy right after this. Okay. Coldiron.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown. Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Okay, item number 14, consider approval of payment to HFG Architecture for services rendered for SMC Perry Hospital remodel in the amount of $112,072.71.
This payment request is from HFG, which is the architect. They've pretty much finished the schematic design. Seems to be winding down for this project. The last time we met, which was last Monday, there was a bit of time spent on the size of the auxiliary gift shop. We felt that they would cut back a little bit too much, and they made like $350 or something like that, and really it's more like $450, and we didn't want to penalize and take space away from the auxiliary folks that do great work for on behalf of their organization. Design development, started discussing that. You were there in person. Joe and I were on Zoom and Teams or whatever they use. So how was that? Was that fun? We're picking out cabinets and knobs and
Not really my forte, but
colors and that kind of thing.
nobody wants to go off of my designs, I promise you that.
So it's good that we're getting down to that point. It means we're getting close to
Right.
having a final design, and we go from there. So I'm encouraged. And Joe, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's,
Very good.
everything's going well.
We're excited about the project. Obviously recommended, approval is recommended.
Meets our requirement schedule that we had in the agreement, right? I think it was, I don't remember the number, 60% or whatever.
Well, you know, when we lost the first construction manager at risk, that threw us back a month, really, I think, closer to 6 weeks. So that's been kind of extended where the construction probably won't start until the first of next year. So that's, I think the original was October of this year. So it's still doable.
We're still pushing forward, but there's still a lot of pieces to get in place before we break ground, but
So what's going on with the rest of the hospital now? Is it shut down? The
No,
part that is not
no.
emergency hospital?
It's not
Oh,
shut
no.
down at all, but I don't think they're having much activity over there.
Yeah, are we letting people stay at the hospital for more than 48 hours?
No, not right
Well,
now
they
since
can.
we're in REH.
You know, it's supposed to be it's an average. So, I mean, someone could stay there longer than 24 hours, but to continue to be in REH, you know, they have to keep that 24-hour observation as an average. So, the way it was explained to me is that they can exceed that, okay, but they have to make sure that their numbers stay so that they don't go over that as an average. Now, I don't know actually what's occurring, okay? But that's the theory and the law on it, and the payment requirements.
I make a motion to approve payment to HFG Architecture for services rendered for the SMC Perry Hospital remodel in the amount of $112,072.71.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Okay, item 15, any new business? Seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, as you're ready.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. 7:12. All right, next year will go pretty quick. All right.
Never make that statement.
So let's call the meeting to order for the Perry Municipal Authority, May 15th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Okay. Goldar.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Coffee.
Here.
White.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Worthing.
Here. All right, declare quorum. So, the consent agenda, receive and approve the minutes for our last meeting on May 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. And let's call our next meeting to order. Our meeting for the Perry Facilities Authority, May 15th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Coffee.
Here.
White.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Worthing.
Here. And item number 1, the consent agenda. Receive and approve minutes of regular PFA meeting on May 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown. Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown. Coffee.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes.